Discussion items, informational items, COVID-19 transition.
Mary Ann, if you put up the data matrix that was updated on Monday, as the board can see, we are in a safe place to be operating with students on campus 4 days a week. We have out of the IDPH 5 matrix, only 1 is in substantial, 2 are in moderate, and then 2 are in minimal transmission. And then for our local area, positivity rates in minimal transmission, while cases for a new per 100,000 is in substantial. But we are in a safe place to be continuing with students 4 days a week. At this point in time, there are no new updates from the state or local governments, anything from the IDPH or the ISBE. The one thing as superintendents that we are continuing to wait for is just some final guidance on the opening of school next year in regards to if they're going to, what type of paperwork will be required for any type of remote option. And right now, what we're hearing from the State Board of Education is that all students will be expected to be back in school next school year, with the exception of someone that cannot be vaccinated and has a severe medical condition. And obviously, they'll have to go through a series of paperwork to document that. But we're waiting to see if there's any final direction on that, or if that's up then for the districts to implement with their legal counsel. So that's one thing we're waiting on from the state. CLIA certification. So the administration, in conjunction with the nurse's office, we finalized and we are officially CLIA certified. What does CLIA certified mean? It's basically a clinical laboratory amendment waiver, and so basically that gives us the ability to conduct testing on site. And so the next step that we are working on is getting our hands on some of the antigen tests that are free from the health department, the county health department, so that we have the flexibility to test students or staff members on site that are experiencing symptoms or feel they may have been exposed. We've discussed about if we have all of this completed before the end of the year, trying to maybe run a pilot on our high-risk sport, like maybe wrestling or lacrosse. The IDPH said that is one recommendation an additional recommendation you can follow. So we're in the process of completing that. We've actually got our certificate. We're just our portal is set up, so now we're waiting to get. We got a standing order from a doctor, so we're just waiting to get. It said it takes 7 to 10 days to get confirmation on our submission of tests and how many we're requesting, and then getting them delivered. So we're waiting on that. But we did meet with the nurse today so we're staying in the loop. We're going to try to get from Goward School District 62, who we worked with. That's my kid's school district, and we worked with their superintendent to follow some of the paperwork and things they're completing. So we're trying to get some tests so that our nurse can practice. So we're going to be looking for some volunteers to let our nurse do some practice testing. And so that should hopefully be happening sometime maybe next week, later next week. Vaccinations information has been posted to the website and district social media outlets to announce all the vaccination sites available for residents 16 years and older. There was one this past weekend in Brookfield and in North Riverside. I believe there's one more coming up in May in Brookfield, so we're trying to update that slide on the website to keep our students and families informed. The more people that receive vaccinations, the easier it will be for us to resume some normalcy in the school year next year. As stated previously, the district has begun accepting rental applications and requests on days when there's no school events. We'll still follow COVID safety protocols, but we are beginning to open our building to some rental events. And my last note here is on the 2021-22 school year. Communication from the high school will begin to going out the first week of May to parents and students, informing them that they should be preparing for a full return to school in August. I did inform the staff of that this Monday at a staff meeting, and the communication from Dr. Freitas, when we start putting out our residency communication, will also be coming out that students should be preparing for a return to a traditional school year. This entails regular school day bell schedule, lunches on campus, extracurricular activities after school. That's been the push from the state over the last month to 2 months. And so that will be our push as an administration to continue to get back to our traditional school day. The administration and staff are discussing and planning for next year, and will be using some funds we received from the government to provide additional resources. I touched on that with the board last week, and I'll touch on that again in my finance report later in this meeting. Again, one of the only things we're waiting on is preliminary information on the remote option, but there has been one option that's been brought to West Cook. West 40, I believe, there's Leiden, Ridgewood, Elmwood Park, Lyons Township, Proviso, Morton, RB, I think I said Ridgewood already. So I said there's about 7 or 8 high schools. And so what they're trying to establish at West Cook, which is our intermediate service center, like our regional office of education, is a remote option so that students that do have medical issues and cannot be vaccinated, cannot return to school, and have to have a full remote option. They're talking about setting up a remote school basically for all the high school students to earn credit so that the actual high schools can focus on the in-person instruction. So that may be one option that we'll be presenting our students. I'm sure some families won't be happy that it may not be classes with RB teachers, but at this point, we're anticipating, a large, if not a majority of all of our students returning. And so we will have to have some alternative options for that remote option. So we're working with the Regional Office of Education on that. And I know Ms. Lindquist is working with instructional coaches for if there's any if there is a real low number of students, if there's a possibility to group them into one section and see if they can take a course or two here while also being on the West 40 remote. It's called an ALA program. So we're trying to work through those details. We had another meeting on Monday with West 40, and so we'll provide more information as that becomes available. So I would anticipate the communication coming out from Dr. Freitas will just be echoing that families and students should be preparing to return for a full-time school day, and the paperwork and the process for the remote option will be rigorous. And so Dr. Freitas, as soon as we get that process up and running, we need to get that out to families. And I know you're attending some of those meetings with me as well. So, but the good news is I think the sooner we can start communicating with families about the full return next year, the better. And if there's no other, one question, and I think I addressed that in the superintendent report about the plans for 21-22. Are there any other questions from the board on the superintendent side before I turn it over to Dr. Freitas?
So do we have any idea how many you anticipate? Because you have almost 600 kids that won't be vaccinated because they're under 16, right?
Yeah, it's not that if you're not vaccinated. That's not one of the requirements that the state has put out, is that you are have a severe medical condition that what you cannot attend, cannot be on campus for in-person learning, and
Maybe I read that wrong.
Right. So it's going to be a health plan. There's going to be some steps you're going to have to go through with not only your local physician, but also through the paperwork through the regional office and through the high school.
It's also very likely that vaccination eligibility will expand lower than age 16 by the fall.
They're saying Pfizer could be this summer for 12 and up.
Yeah,
If that's
so
the case, that would help us significantly.
If that's the case, I think it'd be great to do. I think some of the communication around vaccine eligibility that's come out from the school has been helpful.
Right.
But I think we want to be cautious. I don't think we want to be pushing back, the vaccine younger before the science is ready. Right now, the science is safe with 16.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying that there's pending approval for 12 and up. That's what I'm saying.
But families might not rush their 12-year-olds to get a vaccine, and so we don't want to make that the criterion for coming back to school.
No, we're not making that the
No.
criterion. No.
No,
It's not a mandatory vaccination
Yeah.
policy yet. I don't think that's what the suggestion was. I think it was
No, I just think
it will help.
the pool of those eligible for vaccination will be larger in the coming weeks.
Dr. Freitas, just a
Fingers
COVID update
Yes, I hope so.
from the high school side?
Good evening, honorable board members. All right, so RB, we're still accepting students to attend in person. So if you want to come to school, if you changed your mind yesterday and you want to come tomorrow, you can come. We just ask that you contact the main office for any additional information. Guys, to address the academic challenges caused by COVID-19, we have created the following intervention for the upcoming school year and some this year as well. So we're going to be doing a pull-out English reading and math. What is that? So pull-out support means that a certified staff member pulls a student out of an elective or PE course to have them work in a smaller group setting during the school day. They work on gaps identified by their teachers and the progress monitoring tool. Our student services team is tracking and working with seniors in dangers of failing courses. They're following up, making sure they're communicating with the students and with the family members and seeing their students. Information has been posted on our website for in-person summer school, credit recovery courses, academic workshops, bridge programs will be free for all students. In regard to social emotional learning and the well-being of our students, we know that is coming. So we have been delivering SEL lessons building-wide on Mondays in PE 9 and English 9 classes, freshman classes. In addition, we will be partnering with Sarah's Inn, Pillars, and Satchel for future SEL programming. These partnerships will focus on helping parents support the mental well-being of their child, so we're engaging parents. We'll be surveying the students to see what SEL supports are needed. We're engaging the students, and we're providing training to our social workers who may deal with families who have suffered with everything that COVID-19 has brought. So we're engaging our parents, engaging our students, and supporting our staff so we can do well with social emotional learning.
Can I interrupt quickly and
Yes.
ask a few questions? So on the SEL lessons, those are for freshmen.
Correct.
I know one of the comments that we've heard is about what about the sophomore, junior, senior? So can you talk a little more about how you're targeting? I think is that the Sarah's in Pillars and Satchel?
Sure,
Is
yeah,
that
so
what-
we've been, focusing right now, on the freshmen, but we'll be doing tier 1 to engage as many students as possible. So it'll be, all the parents of our grade levels will be welcome. We'll be supporting our social workers who touch base with students from all grade levels, as well. We'll be serving all the students to see what they need. So our counselors and our social workers are still gonna be engaging all students from all grade levels. We've just been systematically doing lessons with the freshmen.
Okay, that's helpful. I think that's good to know that there's
So, and
options for
I think we
everybody.
want to also verify that because we talked about going 5 days a week, but we're not because of the learning and the extra outreach to teachers and students that we're doing on Mondays.
Correct,
For the
yes,
rest of the year.
we'll be doing
think
so
we
for the
wanna
month
note
of
that.
May, a lot of our professional development that deals with executive functioning skills and SEO will be happening, on Mondays as
And
scheduled.
it's important that we do that. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to verify.
Activities and athletics, the spring season is wrapping up, and the summer season, the first ever summer season, is underway via a modified IHSA calendar. We have seen a slight increase in the number of students having to quarantine due to close contact on the IDPH guidelines, but right now, things have been calm. Athletic contests are being live streamed on 2 platforms, and a limited group of spectators are allowed at home contests. Please contact the athletic department for more details. Guys, I try to do streaming as well, but I want to enjoy the game, so maybe you catch me for the first 5 minutes. I know there's dozens of family members that are streaming as well, but if you want, remember, we stream through the nfhsnetwork.com. That is the National Federation for High Schools, and we also stream through RBTV. Okay, and of course, friends and family that are there stream as well. For more information, email the coaches, because sometimes they set up kind of athletes to stream the events as well. School coaching operations, in-person attendance for 4th quarter. So for 2 weeks ago, April 12th through the 16th, we averaged 438 students per day. And for last week, April 19th through the 22nd, we averaged 450 students per day. Lunches are still grab and go, available every day as students leave. District office right now is working to provide this service throughout the summer. In May, all of our teaching staff will be trained on executive functioning skills. This training will help our teachers prepare and plan for how to best teach key executive functioning skills such as time management and organization within their curriculum to best support students' transition back to a full day of school. Additionally, several of our teachers will be receiving training in co-teaching, where you have a special education educator paired up with a regular content educator to teach. This is needed to help close the achievement gap and to allow for teachers to plan on how to best work together to benefit our Bulldogs. COVID-19 vaccinations are available in Brookfield and North Riverside. Information has been posted on our website. Graduation. will be held outdoors at our Canelli Athletic Complex, AKA known as the stadium, on May 28th at 6 p.m. Students will be issued 2 tickets. Families will be issued 2 tickets. May 29th will be the makeup day in case of inclement weather. And prom will be held on May 27th at the Hyatt Lodge in Oak Brook. So seniors, you got your prom. We're gonna do it right. Guys, make sure you follow all the safety expectations, okay? If we do it, we should have a good graduation and a good prom and a good, culmination of the school year.
Ms. Smithan, there was one question submitted, and I believe related to this, the board need to take any action regarding the prom venue. I don't believe in my tenure we have taken that because it's paid out of a student activity account, and the sponsors work to secure that venue, and it's cost neutral to the district, so it doesn't come out of a board
Correct.
actual account. But is there anything that the board needs to take action on that
No.
you're aware of? Okay. And those were all the questions on the principal's report, on the COVID report. Dr. Fast will present his principal report a little later in the meeting.
I have 2 questions on what was said. One is, summer school registration started?
We are working on it right now. We officially open in May.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's not ready to go yet?
Not at the moment. We're
Okay.
still just, some minor details.
Sure,
We're
sure,
almost
sure.
there.
No,
We're almost
I
there. We want
just-
to get it right before we put a product
Oh,
out.
100%. I just was wondering.
Yeah.
And then, is there gonna be a remote option for graduation? Like, is it gonna be streaming on RBTV?
We
or-
will be streaming, correct.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be streaming the graduation. Yep.
Because I know it's been 4 tickets in the past, right?
Yes, it's been
So
more
I
than 2 in the
know that-
past.
I mean, I know everybody understands why, right? That's not the issue, but just,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some people who are like, oh.
Okay?
Can you talk a little bit more about the pullouts in English, reading, and math, how they're being identified and just how that works?
Sure, so next year, we're going to be using the STAR assessment. We're going to give the student this assessment that lets us know where they're doing in reading and in math. And right now, we're kind of working on, the cutoff score. So once we identify a certain score or a certain skill, then we will be pulling those students out of an elective or PE class. We're not going to take them out of their math class, right? We're complementing math. We're complementing English, But, we may take them out, out of their elective and PE class. I know they're important, but that's just an opportunity to work on a little more academics. Yep, and so we'll use the STAR monitoring tool to identify the gaps, and then we'll work with the teachers to make sure they review those gaps and help students, develop those skills that are needed for success.
And that's next year that the STAR monitor
Correct.
goes into effect? So
Yep.
what's being used now?
So right now, we're using our local assessments, of course, teacher-created assessment. We're using the the SAT, of course, so that's what currently we're using right now. Yep.
Thanks.
We're doing pullouts now, correct?
I'm sorry?
We're doing pullouts now, though, correct? With the
We
math
have
and
done some, yeah. Next year, of course, will be, it's definitely more detailed, more structured, but we have done, of course, pullouts, yeah.
Okay.
That's not new, this is just a new intervention, correct. But we do have a new monitoring tool, that will help us identify those gaps. The tool is new.
All right, we'll go and move to student advisors.
Michael Lilly, any report to share?
Oh, isn't that further down by the report? Because I was confused because there's 2 agenda items. That's the only one.
That's just a discussion item. I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. I think that's why there's.
Okay. All right, additional discussion items. At this point in the meeting, the Board of Education members can request to add additional items.